Hello, in this video I want to talk about camcorders, specifically about Canon camcorders and their evolution throughout the different generations, but it also applies to other camcorders and it's more technical specification. 15 years ago it was Canon Vixia HF 100. After they released this, they started splitting and creating new generation. So this is Vixia HF S100. This one is 58 millimeters diameter of the lens or thread. After this one, the size of the sensor is like 1/5 of an inch. From after HF, they started splitting. After HF S100, they created HF R series and G series. So I think the specs that was more closer to this one went to G series, a little bit prosumer. Then the R series, they start giving out the consumer ones into R series. So those 1/5 of an inch sensor went to R series. They started HF R100, 200. Their sensor technology improved and also the processor improved. So they were able to put out like 35 megabits per second and stuff. Those processors came out, so they thought pictures they're going to produce is going to be, sharp and good enough that they can reduce the sensor size. That's why their sensor size is smaller, newer generation, much smaller. And this is obviously HD. I'm between, right now I can get a good HD camcorder for just $230 versus I can get like a $1,500, $2,000 to have a 4K. It takes great low light footage. Another thing is that this one have a good settings in terms of being able to set up controlling the aperture and shutter speed and ISO, where they removed those settings when Canon released R series. Those settings are only available in the G series. So the R series I looked at, it's right now what is available out there in terms of brand new. If you want to get a brand new camcorder, right now the latest one they have available is Canon Vixia HF 800, which is the latest one of their R series. I think they stopped producing that. Right now some of them are selling like 500, some crazy amount of dollars. There's another one, Sony HDR CX405. That one's also still there producing the camcorder, like a consumer camcorder. But the R800, you have auto programmable advantages to be able to use those settings. So not having R800, none of those settings to me, if you're looking for, I'm just telling you because you're making decisions, there are hundreds of thousands of videos out there about R800 because that's the one already available because it's the latest one that got their inventories. I want to purchase R800, daylight good, 1/5 of an inch sensor. Night light is not usable. Even Sony R800, even though they have like 35 megabits per second, they have good quality. Daylight is good. Like Sony, Canon, both of them, daylight is good. Good stabilization is, I think, is a little bit better than this. R800, it's good if you don't really care about too much playing around with the camera, but it doesn't have any settings to control. And CX405, I don't know about the settings, but again, that one's also small sensor, 1/5 of an inch sensor. Yeah, if you're looking at better camcorder, start looking around G series. G series from Canon Vixia HF. G50 is one of the latest ones, 2016 or 17. They came up with G70 and G60. So G70 and G50 is the same in terms of sensors. So if you want to go around $1,500, G70 is a good option. G60 is much pricier because that one has 1-inch sensor. 1-inch sensor is, around prosumer is the largest sensor you can get, and obviously has a better light performance, 1-inch sensor. So dual pixel autofocus is only available in at least 1-inch sensors. So half-an-inch sensors, if you go search, you will see G50, G70, they're like $1,000, something around that. $1,100 and stuff. But G60 all of a sudden is like $1,800, $2,000. So that's one of the biggest difference. It's not only sensor size, dual pixel autofocus. I have this Canon M50, it's dual pixel autofocus. This is a crop sensor, obviously larger than 1 inch. That's why they were able to put this in here as well. Having a sharp focus, it's challenging, especially with zoom lens on camcorder, me myself. That's why they're much more expensive, one instance. So G60 is around $2,000. Then there's another line of cameras, totally different from Vixia. They're XA series. They're a little bit more professional, but sometimes they share some specification with G series. So some comparable that I found, something similar to G60 in XA series is XA70. XA70 and XA50, those two also have 1 inch sensor. Then XA60 is like G50 and G70, half an inch sensor. The difference between G series and XA series, again, they're a little bit more professional. One thing is like G60 is really identical to XA70 and XA50 and XA55. They're all same 1 inch sensor, everything is dual pixel autofocus. One thing I noticed is obviously there's like a handle audio capture on top of XA series that has like looks more professional. It has like an output for broadcast quality output and stuff. Another thing probably for me was important was that you have ability to XF AVC format on top of MPEG-4 that only even G60 only had MPEG-4. So that's one difference for me. And also I found it looks like there's not a lot of G60s out there, so that's why they're a little bit more expensive. Other than that, I didn't see a lot of, bigger, better specs in G60, but XA70 is a lot cheaper. Like not a lot, like $500 or so. It looks like it's more available, and that's why the price is not too high. 50 and 55s, they're identical. The only difference is their output, the broadcast quality output. They have 5-axis optical stabilization. Even this one, when you move this camera, you see something rattling inside. The lens is on top of something that can, absorb shakes. So you have a gimbal, a zoom lens, 4K, sharp quality, 150 megabits per second. For how much? $1,100 or something. And imagine, so there are a lot of people are freaking out over this Osmo DJ Pocket. This is great. I take footage, we just move around, everything is steady, sharp. Well, the problem is so wide. And this thing can zoom, it's just gonna zoom like 2 times. Zoom is difficult, so gimbal is great to have in a camera. Having a camcorder that has a gimbal inside, great feature to have. That was the story about the generation of the Canon Vixia. There was a lot of, so I gave you some keywords you can search for, make your own conclusion, but those are the things that I wanted to share about my experience that I have and conclusion that I came with to buy this and also considering to buy others. I'm really enjoying it for many months, a few months for now. I also posted a couple of videos we're going to talk about soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.